This is CTV. Don't blink.
In the news tonight, death toll rises from Mount Elgon floods, climbs to 23 as police and rescue workers recover more bodies.
I've indicated 22 lives that were lost and 10 other residents were critically injured.
Leaders of several opposition political parties and pressure groups form joint effort to end President Museveni's three-decade grip on power. Also, Lieutenant General Andrew Guti hands over as chairman of the Army General Court Martial. 300 pending cases await his successor, Brigadier General Freeman Robert Mugabe. And in sports, She Cranes battle England at the ongoing Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, UK. Good evening. Thank you for tuning in to CTV. Those of you watching us in Kampala and beyond, welcome to the program. This is PM Edition. My name is Bernadette Pio, our sign language interpreter Isaac Luchamuzi. Topping the news tonight, 12 bodies and a Toyota Super Custom van have been recovered from River Nabuyonga in Mbale City as the search for survivors continues. The vehicle was reportedly carrying several people who all perished. More in this report.
By yesterday evening, security officials in conjunction with the Uganda Red Cross personnel as well as residents recovered 10 bodies of people who drowned in River Nabuyonga after their houses were submerged in water. Some of the bodies were found in a Toyota Super Custom vehicle, registration number UAW334X. The victims are reportedly traveling to an unknown destination when their vehicle was swept by the raging waters. The bodies have been taken to Mbale City mortuary. The death toll now stands at 23 and 3 other vehicles have been retrieved. People who have been operating businesses near Nabuyonga Bridge have registered losses. The businesses include garages, shops, hardware shops and furniture shops. Ahmad Awashaki, the Mbale resident city commissioner, who is the team leader of the disaster management committee in Mbale City, say they suspect that pedestrians and other people who are traveling on borders could have been swept by the flood.
Waliwo kakati abantu nga bali kuba pichipichi bagwa mu mazzi naye obutafaana kona bana ab'emmotoka bagwa ne basigala mu mmotoka nga wadde nga bafa naye emirambo gisobodde okusinkanibwa mu kifo kimu bo bayinza okuba nga oluusi bwe yagwamu piki n'egweno naye n'agweno ettaka ate ne limubikka.
Washaki says almost every ward in Mbale City was affected by the floods.
Manyi nti abantu bangi bakosebbwa, tusuubira nti amaka agawera nga 8 gayinza okuba nga gakoseddwa naye agali obubi ennyo tusuubira galinga mu 10 n'omusobyo. Mwe tugamba nti abantu abo kati bakyalina we beegekaluba, tebakyalina kantu ke bakozesa mu nnyumba, era abo maze okukakasibwa nga bwe twabadde ne Right Honorable Prime Minister waffe ow'ekitiibwa Robin Nabbanja nti agenda tuweereza emmere. Wenjogerera wano emmere yo eri ku kkubo ssaawa yonna etuuka.
On Sunday, Prime Minister Robina Nabanja visited the area to assess the situation. Hope Nyongereza, CTV PM edition.
May their souls rest in eternal peace. Relatedly, the death toll from the Mount Elgon floods has risen to 23 after the recovery of 12 bodies. The Saturday's floods has destroyed hundreds of houses and has left hundreds of people displaced.
The floods that were triggered by a heavy downpour caused landslide in several areas. According to police, 11 bodies were recovered on Sunday. Today, 12 bodies have been recovered. During a press conference at the police headquarters, police spokesperson Fred Enanga said the search for more bodies is underway since resources have been mobilized to support the police territorial team in the search. The floods caused massive damage. They left a broken national water supply pump in their path, as well as submerging houses, roads, crops, factories, and schools.
The death toll from the flash floods in Mbale has now reached 22. Those who are critically injured, the number has increased to 10. You're aware the residents in Mbale were greatly affected by the flash floods which originated from Mount Elgon and Wanale Hill. And these were coupled with mudslides and caused extensive damage to food, cash crops, permanent and semi-permanent houses, which were broken. We have, like I've indicated, 22 lives that were lost and 10 other residents were critically injured.
Enanga warned survivors against crossing flooded areas. He cautioned people, especially those living on mountain slopes, to be ready for such natural calamities.
These 22 who died, they are motorists. People still dare to drive when they see flash in the middle of these flash floods, which is very dangerous. And we just want the public to be aware of the following, that there's a danger of flowing water over roads and low water bridges. The higher the speed, the higher the pressure, and this can sweep you off your feet or in your car. So we advise motorists and even pedestrians that once floods are there, please don't dare cross, because you don't know the amount of pressure and the damages that are there.
10 people were injured in the Mount Elgon area floods, and the search for people who are unaccounted for is ongoing. Hope Nyongereza, CTV PM edition.
Thank you, Hope, for that report. Now, the Uganda National Meteorology Authority has warned that more heavy rainfall is expected in the Elgon region. The warning comes as the death toll from the devastating floods that hit the region on Saturday rises to 24. Chris Amokola has more.
On Saturday, areas around Mount Elgon and Bali region were devastated by floods that were triggered by heavy downpours. The death toll, according to the Uganda Red Cross Society, has risen to 24 people. More people are still unaccounted for. Property worth millions of shillings was destroyed. In the wake of the floods, the Uganda National Meteorology Authority has warned that the affected areas will continue to experience heavy rainfalls in the coming days. Abubakar Kalema, a senior meteorologist at the weather body, says that such flooding incidents will continue to hit the region because residents have destroyed almost all wetlands in the area to grow crops and to set up settlements.
This very event, it's rainfall, it depends on the intensity. What we mean by intensity is how much it rains per hour. So it was a lot of rainfall within that very region, and it was for quite a very long time, as it was from around 8 to morning the following day. It was really raining, seriously, cats and dogs. So it was as an accumulation, because it was found that the soil already had some water, all the way, like I've explained, from the month of June all the way up to around this time. So the land was found when it was already saturated.
Kalema says that for a long time, they have been informing the adamant members of the public about the impending catastrophe. He says what happened in Elgon region was expected since it has been raining since June.
And when we looked at the performance of rains in June, Bujinyanya is one of our stations in the Mount Elgon, and indicated very well that that they were the second highest in terms of rainfall amount that was recorded from this station. And as we know, there are rivers that go downstream. So as you can see that since June, that has been the picture, and actually as well in July, since the July started till to around 26th, still from that area we're experiencing a lot of rainfall. And generally for Bududa, Bududa areas, the mount areas, they are always at high alert whenever we forecast high rainfall amounts.
Uganda Red Cross Society spokesperson Irene Nakasita says more than 1,000 people have been displaced.
By this morning, we have 21 bodies so far retrieved in Mbale, and the 11 have been retrieved this morning. By last evening, there were only 10. Now, Kapchora, still the death toll remains at 3, so that brings us to a total population of 21 people dead. Now, here is the thing. We need to go in quickly with the response. While people are retrieving dead bodies, there are those that are displaced because they're not able to stay in their areas. So what we do, we come in and give them relief. Our truck already left Kampala, but then it will be supported by the relief that is already in Mbale at our Mbale Regional Disaster Management Center.
Nakasita says areas in Soroti, Amuri and Kataku districts are all vulnerable to floods.
In Parliament, members from Bugisu region are not happy with government's slow response to the flood disaster that befell the region over the weekend. The politicians say all people who have been affected deserve to be compensated. Ramson Muhire with more.
Following heavy rains at the weekend that triggered floods in Elgon region, MPs from the region want effective government response. They say government was caught unawares as if it does not have departments to predict such calamity. The MPs say that since villages have been swept by floods, evacuation camps should be set up to help people who have been affected.
There are the problems which come over, especially health-wise. Remember that most pit latrines have been flushed off, and all that filth goes into water. And not only ending in Bugisu, it goes down to Bugwere area, Butaleja, and other places. Ladies and gentlemen, we wish also not to blame. We are not here for any blame game, but to call upon government very fast to move in.
Government should come out, government should come and act fast. And I believe the Prime Minister, the leader of government business, she should be able to run to our cause very fast, because our people are dying, our people are starving, and we expect the situation to get worse, given that as we speak now, we don't have safe drinking water in Bugisu.
The road infrastructure has been damaged, the homesteads have been damaged, crops have been destroyed, and the livelihood more or less has been distorted. We are appealing our government, that there should be short-term, immediate term, medium and long. The immediate one right now is to build on what the Prime Minister started.
According to the MPs, people lost their loved ones and property. They should be relocated and compensated.
Compensation would be the best. Personal, one-on-one compensation. If funds are identified, the best way is value someone and then give him money, give her money as a family, because we already have a benchmark.
And we believe government should come very fast and provide some food, because people right now have been displaced. Government should provide food, provide shelter, should provide drinking water to some of our people who are in dire need right now. I have areas that are in closest to the mountains, closer to Wanale Hill, the areas of Vumbo, where partly their land has been swept away by this water.
We are directed that those who are sitting on Mount Elgon should move, but move where? There should be some element of compensation. People should be compensated so that they find livelihood elsewhere.
Almost 50,000 residents of Mbale cannot access clean water, and most of them lost their sources of income. Without elaborating how a ministerial slot would help residents, the MPs asked President Museveni to appoint a minister for the affected area.
Called when I was still chairman LC5 Manafa for a ministry in charge of these Bugisu problems. Problems are solved as they come along. It would be better if we have a ministry for Karamoja, Luwero, Bunyoro, etc. Why can't we have one for Bugisu? Especially with these incessant problems all the time, every year you live in fear.
After the Saturday floods, the Uganda Meteorology Authority has warned about more rainfall and floods in the area. Safi, Mokile Baluken, Sarana Kandi for CTV PM Edition.
On the political arena, the leader of the National Unity Platform, Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, also known as Bobi Wine, has lashed out at some sections of the public for driving a wedge between leaders of opposition parties in Uganda. Bobi Wine was speaking at a joint press conference where leaders of several opposition political parties signed an agreement to form a joint force that intends to end President Museveni's 3-decade stint in power.
For decades, opposition parties who work to depose President Museveni from power have been accused of being selfish after paying lip service to a united forum. Today, a section of opposition politicians, including NUP's leader Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu aka Bobi Wine, FDC Vice President in Uganda, who is also Kampala Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago, the leader of People's Front for Transition Dr. Kizza Besigye, among others, have put pen to paper on an agreement that will see them work together to oust President Museveni and the NRM from power. In the signed document, the joint opposition leaders believe the elections are no longer a means of regime change. They fault the ruling NRM and the Electoral Commission of voter bribery, vote stuffing and rigging, among other vices that have made it impossible for the opposition to compete in a free and fair elections.
Elections must be free and fair, short of which they are not fit to be called elections. Going forward, we shall jointly or severally use any upcoming elections to organize and rally the population to defend their democratic rights and end the election madness that has bedeviled our country since independence.
Let's bury our differences and rescue this country from the precipice. We rescue this country from the cliff. We are sitting on a time bomb as a nation.
So the struggle that the country must undertake is to regain power, to regain influence in the country. That's the struggle, to shift power from those who captured it to those who don't have it.
These accuse President Museveni of manipulating and violating the constitution with intentions of keeping himself in power.
The constitution of this Republic of Uganda is on our side. And we invite Ugandans to firmly stand with us, and all of us who are before you here, we want to speak with one voice. We want to sing in unison that enough is enough.
It's that there is impunity. Those with the power override whatever law is there. They do what they want.
The initiative comes at a time the Electoral Commission prepares to organize by-elections for Buchimbiri County in Kisoro District and Gogonyo County in Palisa District. The opposition leaders believe that electorates should know that political leaders only provide leadership and that it is the duty of the masses to rise up and take charge.
Don't depend on only leaders, don't depend on only politicians. You've seen politicians sell out. Now think about those who are following Mao. So don't over-depend on just the politicians. I want to believe that most of Ugandans know now where we want to go. Play a role, lead from whatever angle, from whatever position you are. Lead your people to where you want them to go.
Previous efforts to unite the opposition have been futile. Partly the public has been blamed for abating the divisions.
You don't know how many times you have a coffee, how many times you discuss. But the more that I hear negativity from his side, or he has negativity from my side, it even creates that suspicion. And friends, please make it easy for us to work together.
The Alliance for Nation Transformation, led by General Mugisha Muntu and the Democratic Party, are yet to join the United Front. Democratic Party leader Norbert Mao signed an agreement with the ruling NRM to work together for political transition. Most of opposition MPs scoffed at Mao for being politically naive and selfish. Ramson Muhire, CTV PM Edition.
With that, PM Edition takes a short break and returns shortly. Stay with us. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching a PM edition. In other top stories of the day, the Chief of Defense Forces, General Wilson Mbadi, has tasked the Special Investigation Branch Bureau in charge of investigating cases in the court-martial to speed the inquiry into various cases of detained suspects. General Mbadi was at the General Court-Martial in Machinde, where Lieutenant General Andrew Guti handed over office to Brigadier General Freeman Robert Mugabe as the new chairman of the court.
Recently, Brigadier General Freeman Robert Mugabe was appointed as the chairman of the General Court Martial to replace Lieutenant General Andrew Guti. Guti has today handed over instruments of power to his successor. Brigadier General Mugabe promised service to the people of Uganda and the Commander-in-Chief. Brigadier General Mugabe, however, called for teamwork and support to effectively carry out his mandate.
Mindful that we deliver as a team. I'm simply a ship captain, but we collectively enjoy the scoreboard.
The Chief of Defence Forces, General Wilson Basumbadi, who officiated the handover, tasked the Special Investigation Branch Bureau to carry out speedy inquiries to address the challenge of case backlog.
Pending high-profile cases, investigative matters you mentioned about. So SID, pull up your socks, and improving the terms and conditions of service. And this is generally being taken care of.
General Mbadi highlighted the key issues Brigadier General Mugabe is supposed to handle.
We must bear in mind the norms, values, and aspirations of the people. As vanguards of justice and as practitioners, we are accountable to the constitution of the people and liable to the law, the primary of which is the UPDF Act, which we must apply with all manner of integrity.
Brigadier Felix Klaije, the UPDF spokesperson, applauded Lieutenant General Guti for his achievement as the chairman of the court.
In his term, he has handled, of course, high-profile cases that many of them, some of you know. 3, there is the challenge of the interference of the civil courts, that normally some suspects come with the court decisions or orders halting trials. And as a law-abiding judicial system, we do follow those orders and hold some of the trials, even when evidence is available. 4, indeed, we are grateful as an army to General Guti for executing his duties expeditiously. Yes, he has handed over court when there are some, there's a backlog. There are cases that are pending trial. Indeed, there are people who are on remand in the various prisons that the new chairman and his team must expeditiously handle so that this backlog is reduced.
Lieutenant General Guti has chaired the General Court Martial for 6 years. Over 3,000 pending cases await Brigadier General Mugabe. Prominent ones include that of former Inspector General of Police, Kari Kaihura, who is facing charges of failure to protect war materials, failure to supervise police officers, and abetting kidnap. The former commander of Police Special Operations, Senior Superintendent of Police, Nixon Agasiri, is also facing charges aiding and abetting kidnaps of Rwandan refugees. Other cases that are not yet concluded involve 39 National Unit Platform supporters and a case of murder against prominent court bailiff Moses Chirunda. Flavia Ninkuze for CTV, PM Edition.
Thank you, Flavia. Now, Uganda must get prepared for soaring data traffic as the government aspires to fully monetize the economy through agriculture, industrialization, digital transformation, and market access. MPs on the ICT committee have toured a Tier 3 data center in Namamve. They have also urged government to integrate data services with the private sector in order to ease access to developmental information resources.
The biggest issue we'll have in the country is the appreciation of ICT and the abilities of what ICT can do. One, coming late also sometimes has advantages. If you're in the Western world, you realize that it's difficult to find mobile money activities there. But here, you have mobile activities, going through everything. So I think now we are looking at working with government to see that we focus on nationalizing ICT in all aspects. If you look at the e-government strategy for government of Uganda today, it is now to make sure that we streamline all citizen services through the digital environment. That is what is going to drive the private sector and actually to drive the business for companies like Raxio.
The investors are looking at investing 20 more data centers across Africa, the same company, 20 more data centers across Africa.
You're still watching PM Edition. In news from the region, Secretary General Antonio Guterres says he was outraged by the deaths of 2 people after peacekeepers opened fire at a border post with Uganda in the troubled Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo.
Guterres' deputy spokesperson said in a statement that his boss stressed in the strongest terms the need to establish accountability for these events and endorses the detention of military personnel involved in the incident and the immediate investigation. In a video of the incident shared on social networks, men, at least one dressed as a police officer and another as a Congolese soldier, are seen advancing towards the convoy and stopped on the other side of the closed fence in Kasindi, in the territory of Benin on the border with Uganda. After a verbal exchange, the alleged peacekeepers are seen firing shots before opening the gate and crossing the post. The head of MONUSCO, Bintu Keita, says she's deeply shocked and dismayed by this serious incident, according to the mission's statement. Deadly demonstrations accompanied by destruction and looting took place in the several towns in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo to demand the departure of the United Nations. One of the largest and most expensive UN missions in the world, MONUSCO has been in the DRC since 1999. It currently has more than 14,000 peacekeepers with an annual budget of $1 billion.
PM Edition takes another short break. Sports is up next. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching a PM edition in sports tonight. The Uganda netball team, the She Cranes, are in intense preparations ahead of their game with England at the Commonwealth Games tomorrow. The team thumped Trinidad and Tobago on Sunday to get back in contention at the Games. Let's get more.
The Commonwealth Update, brought to you by Ababate.
The ultimate target of the She Cranes is to qualify for the knockout stages of the Commonwealth Games netball tournament. After losing to New Zealand, the world's #1 team, in the first game 40-53, and thumping Islanders Trinidad and Tobago 62-28, Uganda looks set to take on host England tomorrow.
Wow, what a move. Great.
Ahead of the crucial tie in Group A, the team led by Peace Proskovia, the captain, and other team players such as Vice Captain Joan Nampungu, star players like Mary Nuba and Anisha Mohammed are confident to put up a good fight.
Team Uganda, particularly the She Cranes, if I can talk about the She Cranes only, I think with the experience they have had, they didn't come with any negative perception. They came knowing that they are a strong team and knowing that they can do their best to win. And as per now, the girls are mentally prepared.
Well, it's going to be loud and most of the support is going to be England, but since from our first game against New Zealand, there was a lot of crowd, and I think we're out of that stage whereby we're afraid of the crowd. I think the message to the girls just to be strong and to deliver the best of their game, and it's going to be 7-on-7, so nobody's going to be alone. We're going to keep the chat up as a team and just make sure we're doing our best.
First and foremost, I would want to say the tournament has been amazing so far. There's so much to learn as a young player. I had my first debut yesterday. Great opportunity, very intense. But at the same time, the girls are doing amazing. They're making sure that we win as many games as possible.
Head coach Patrick Mugerwa says they are ready to face England.
Yeah, so far we have got mixed results. That is a loss and a win, which isn't good for us. In fact, when we came to this tournament, we wanted at least to go through to this semi-final and maybe to the finals. But I think that is another hiccup that we got when we played against New Zealand, a team that we had expected and wanted to beat very much. But unfortunately, we couldn't do it. And I think that some of the few errors that we did, but I think we rectified yesterday some of the mistakes, and I hope that by tomorrow when we are facing England, we shall have at least improved on those mistakes, and we are going to, in fact, we're going to give them a very good challenge tomorrow.
The She Cranes are in Group A alongside favourites New Zealand, hosts England, Trinidad and Tobago, Malawi and Northern Ireland. After the England game, the She Cranes will battle Northern Ireland and lastly Malawi. The She Cranes are ranked 6th in the world and 2nd in Africa, and the win against host England will enhance the team's chances of qualifying for the knockout stage of the 2022 Commonwealth Games in England. Saikasin Sekarara, CTV, PM edition.
The Commonwealth Update, brought to you by Ababate.
We wish them the best of luck. That story brings us to the end of PM Edition tonight. Thank you for your company. PM Edition returns tomorrow, but do keep it CTV. More interesting programming lined up. Good night.